valuable company in the world right now is NVIDIA.
China gonna have to bow down, man. China is going to have to bow down.
Good evening, and welcome to the Nightly Recap powered by Gokhshtein News Network.
Hey everybody, good evening. Welcome to the Nightly Recap powered by Gokhshtein News Network. I'm Rob Nelson. Thanks for joining me. Trying to give you a trusted source, if you want to trust me. I could be AI for politics, crypto, everything in between, everything that makes the world not seem believable or real. And maybe I'm not real. Maybe it's all just a simulation, or maybe I'm just an AI. Either way, the U.S. government shut down. Yep, shut down. Wow, shut down. Did you notice? Did anybody notice that the government shut down? I mean, if you work for the government, if you work for the Fed government, you might have noticed if you got furloughed, if you are a non-essential worker. But honestly, did any of you notice that the government shut down? Have any of you even realized it on a personal level? Oh, wait, the government shut down? I mean, the essential services continue. They deliver the mail, the postal service, even though they don't do a great job of it. The military is still working. Medicare, Social Security, all that's still going. Did you notice that the federal government shut down? No, you did not. You did not notice. You will not notice. And that says it all. You didn't notice? God, it's sad. It almost doesn't matter. Like, none of us noticed. I had to check. I was like, does it shut down at midnight tonight, or did it shut down at midnight last night? It shut down at midnight this morning, but I didn't notice. Here's the thing. It's all been weaponized into political warfare. The Democrats are like, oh, the Republicans, they don't want to work with us. The Republicans like, oh, the Democrats are just trying to push things through, which they are, by the way. But both things are true, except in the reverse. They both said the opposite when the last shutdown happened or was about to happen. I'm so over both sides just pointing fingers. It's just a stupid name gaming, blaming game. Like, it doesn't even matter. I actually think we could use a lot less government. And I'm kind of on board the whole thing, which is like, hey, the Trump thing is like, hey, let's use the shutdown to eliminate jobs. I mean, technically, you got to pay them after the furlough, but you don't have to bring them back. Thank you for your service. We don't need you to work here anymore. We'll pay you what we didn't pay you. I think they have to pay them for the furloughed time, but it's called an RIF, reduce in force. Just cut the jobs. Cut them massively. God, our government is so bloated. It's so bloated. Like I said, did you notice the shutdown? I guess if you went to a national park, maybe you would notice that there wasn't a park ranger there. But really? Or a museum? Honestly, like, it's so big and bloated. It just sucks our money out. Like, let the state governments do what the state governments do. Let them take care of the things they take care of. We don't need this massive federal bureaucracy. We don't. I'm guessing we could cut it in half. I'm sort of sorry that Doge and Elon Musk all left, but because they never did what they said. They started to cut and then disappeared. Like, he and Trump got in a boy fight, and it was all over. But there's no way we couldn't cut the federal government in half and still be fine. Like, we wouldn't notice the difference. You know, it's like if you stored a bunch of stuff. If you were like a person who just kept shit everywhere, and you just stored it in the attic or in a garage, you never looked at it. If somebody came in and cleared the garage out, just took all of it away, would you notice? No. If you went in there and dug through it, you'd be like, oh, here's that thing from 10 years ago. Well, and put it back in the garage. You wouldn't notice. You wouldn't even know it's gone. I always joke about that. You wouldn't. I did this when I was living in LA for a long time. And 5 years ago, I left during the pandemic, came to Jacksonville, then went to Puerto Rico, whatever. Like, I had so much stuff and I stacked it up, threw it, and I filled up 2 dumpster, things. I didn't notice any of it being gone because I hadn't looked at it for years. That's our federal government. You wouldn't notice half of it being gone. You'd be like, oh, it's gone. I didn't even notice I needed it because I did it because it was just a waste. The problem is, unlike stuff you're storing in the garage, we're paying for all that every day. Sorry for those of you who will lose your absolutely unimportant jobs. Sorry for those of you who won't get a paycheck from my taxes for your absolutely useless work. We don't notice you missing. We won't notice you missing because you're not providing any fucking utility. Sounds harsh, I know, but it's just facts. Ask Dr. Fauci before he gets indicted. I truly do hope they indict him. Seriously, indict Fauci. The guy lied to us and made a lot of money and just mostly just sat on his huge ego and just wrote it out being the most famous guy ever. Just indict him. But either way, ask him about the facts first. We don't need all that bureaucracy. We really won't miss it. Even some of the essential things that don't go away, we wouldn't miss if they were gone. But the essential things are still there. We get rid of 50%. How about that? Let's just start at 50. You want to go 30? Let's go with 30. Let's get rid of 30%. Just as a shot. Okay, 25. I'll go with that. Let's just wipe out a quarter of it and see how we're doing. Oh, we're doing okay. Great. Let's take another 10%. Another 15 after that. We're up to 50 now, 50%. That's a lot of money. That's your money. That's my money. That's our money. That's all we're paying in taxes. Have you ever thought about what you pay in taxes, even if you're good at getting around it? Have you ever wondered, I do, what did my taxes get me? My taxes get me nothing. Like literally, they get me almost nothing. I just pay a lot of money for almost nothing. It's like my health insurance, like I said the other day. I pay a lot of money to insure myself against a catastrophe because I don't actually get the value of that insurance. And I have a massive deductible, which I could never use up in yearly checkups and whatever. It's all catastrophic health insurance. Our government is catastrophic health insurance. We're paying for it. We don't need it. And the catastrophe may or may not happen. We don't need it. So, but what I am going to do, everybody, if you will bear with me, is because I have a little tech problem, just don't go anywhere. I'm just going to come right back with a. And there we are, me back. I disappeared. I came back because I could be AI. All right. Donald Trump Jr. says crypto will help preserve U.S. dollar dominance. This is something I've thought a lot about. It makes sense intuitively. I mean, what he said is stablecoins can basically backfill demand for U.S. Say Japan and China buy less U.S. Treasuries, stablecoins can backfill that. He said, "quote Crypto will preserve dollar hegemony around the world," and he's a big backer of USD1. It's an irony, but I think it makes sense. Oddly enough, even Bitcoin, I think crypto helps stabilize the trad financial system. And I've said for a while, I've never thought, unlike say maximalists, that it was an either or. Bitcoin replaces all currencies and becomes the only one. I've always thought Bitcoin crypto integrates into the TradFi system and builds it better. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. We have such an all or nothing world. And maybe the maximalists and my friends out there, you're maximalists, maybe you're right. One day it will, just like Jesus and Christianity, just overtake the world and we'll have a big rapture. But I think in the meantime, it's going to integrate in. It is integrating in. And actually, oddly enough, probably Don Jr. is right. Preserve the dollar, which again, I know Bitcoin was meant to undercut it, but I think it will actually preserve it and provide like a reserve backstop. And that makes sense. Maybe one day it eclipses it, but for now it merges in and preserves it. Speaking of Bitcoin, back up to 118. I haven't looked in the last few hours, but man, what a wild ride it's been, right? It was down to like, what was it, 109 or whatever? I looked the other day, I'm like, damn. I mean, I bought way below that, so I'm still good, but those are losses. I felt like I liked it better at 120 up to 118. We knew it would go up. Any of you who know Bitcoin knew it would go back up. It's what, late September. This is when October, November, December, probably when it does its rise. I still think I might be crazy, but I think it hits 130, 140 before the end of the year. There's a part of me that thinks it could hit 150. I love David Gokhshtein's opinion on this, but he might be off celebrating Yom Kippur, the highest holiday of the Jewish year. But David, if you're out there, does Bitcoin hit 150 before December? It certainly hits 130, right? Am I crazy, David? David, are you out there? Is the gospel of David out there? So our intern gave me a fun fact. If you invested $1,400, your stimulus check in 2020, you got your $1,400 stimulus check, which I never got, by the way. I never got my stimulus. I'm like, I never got my $1,400 stimulus check. But if you invested your $1,400 stimulus check in 2020 in Bitcoin, you know what it would be worth now? Your $1,400. Instead of paying your rent with it, putting it in the bank, I don't know, buying clothes, you put that $1,400 in 2020 in Bitcoin. $21,000. That's your $1,400. You could have taken that stimulus check and made that $1,400 and made it worth over $20,000. All you had to do was put in Bitcoin. Excuse me. That's a cough. That's a Bitcoin cough. I'm not going to lie. I really got deeper into Bitcoin after late 2021, early 2021, 2022. I still doing great. But yeah, had I put what I put in Bitcoin in 2020, I'd be doing even greater. And I ain't complaining. Like I said, even at 109, 109, 107, 100, whatever, I'm still making money on my Bitcoin. 118 is better. I like 118 better. Take the Michael Saylor approach. Buy low, buy high. If you're like, well, I missed the boat, you're going to think that in 10 years. Bitcoin will not 10x itself in the next 2 years. That's a fact. But will it 2x, 3x, 4x in the next 5 years? Yeah. So, I mean, a 2x investment's still good. If you bought Bitcoin tomorrow, you probably get a 20% increase by the end of the year. You definitely get a 100% increase in the next year. Like, that's not a bad investment. You can gamble on other things and other cryptos and other, meme coins and tokens and shit coins, and you can play in the stock market, but hey, make a safe investment in Bitcoin. Not that hard. Really not that hard. Vanguard. Vanguard manages almost $10 trillion in assets. That is a lot of money. Sidebar, Elon Musk is worth $500 billion. He's the first person to ever be worth that much money. Elon Musk is worth $500 billion. When I first saw it, I had to think about it. $500 billion. It used to be a time when you'd be like, somebody's worth $500 million. You'd be like, wow, somebody's worth $1 billion. He's worth $500 billion. That's how much money that is. Do you imagine being worth $500 billion? You couldn't spend it if you wanted to. Like, you could literally be like, I am just going to, for the rest of my life, go on a spend every minute of every day spending as much money as I can. You wouldn't run out. $500 billion. It's astronomical. It's quite remarkable. And congratulations to him. Capitalism at work. Anyway, back to Vanguard, managing $10 trillion in assets. They're going to consider offering crypto products to clients. This is significant because, and I've said this for a while, when the mainstream asset institutions, asset management institutions, the banks start offering crypto resources, and in this case products. If you're an asset manager, you can offer the products. If you're a bank, you could manage your clients' crypto and let your institutional investment advisors give them advice. That's when it all mainstreams. And that's what's happening. It is mainstreaming. It's inevitable. It's happening. I wish my bank would move a little faster. You know, Morgan Stanley, if you're listening, can we pick up the pace a little? But it'll happen in all major financial institutions. And I think asset managers kind of lead the way because they're actually managing the assets. They're actually not just telling you what you could do. They're actually going, hey, we will offer you products. We won't just give you advice or manage those accounts. We'll actually offer you products you can use. It was only a matter of time. And what a fast time it's been. Guys, 3 years ago wasn't even conceivable. I talked to an old friend of mine 7 years ago, about 7 years ago, ballpark. Yeah, 2018. Yeah. He was mining Bitcoin on his computer, on his desktop. You could technically still mine Bitcoin on your desktop, but we've got publicly traded companies worth billions that are Bitcoin mining companies. The evolution, the arc of this asset is absolutely astronomical. Bet on Bitcoin. Bet on Bitcoin. Never be the bad bet. Musk's worth, I mentioned that, worth $500 billion. That is, that is something to, I guess, be impressed with. But how about this? I'm going to shift total gears. I'm going a totally different direction here. Hunter S. Thompson. Remember him? Hunter S. Thompson was the gonzo journalist. If you don't know him, excuse me, you might know Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the movie Johnny Depp starred in about him. He was a journalist who was kind of not a journalist, which is kind of crazy because it sort of makes sense now because we have journalists that aren't journalists, right? Like CNN, they're not journalists. They pretend to be journalists and then they totally one-sided. Fox has talk show hosts like Sean Hannity or Jesse Waters. They don't pretend to be journalists, so they're opinionated. They don't deny it. But on CNN, Caitlin Clark, she's like, I'm a journalist, except you're completely biased and opinionated. They're all biased and opinionated, and they claim to be journalists. Hunter S. Thompson didn't claim to be unbiased. His journalism was half made up and half real. He would write things that were real, and then he'd mix in things that were completely made up. It's kind of brilliant. And he was like smoking weed and getting high and all fucked up and doing his thing as he went out. And, he would chronicle social events. He had a column in the San Francisco Chronicle for years. He would chronicle real things, but he also just makes stuff up. And he did it so effortlessly that you almost couldn't tell which part was made up. And he also chronicled himself in it. And he wrote if you've never read Hunter S. Thompson, read it. He wrote with a wit, a satire, a genius that we're missing. Like there was no pompous, justifying stuff that you see now from journalism. He just was raw, authentic. He just cut to the core. And yes, for those of you on the left who are all woke, he was a lefty. He was like a libertarian maybe, but he went after the Nixon administration like there was no tomorrow. But he did it with humor and wit and satire and brutal insight. And he made shit up the whole time, along the way. one of the greatest writers, greatest journalists ever, died by suicide 20 years ago. And now his widow has asked the case to be reopened because she doesn't think he died by suicide. Which this is interesting. If he didn't die by suicide, the suicide note he left was written by somebody who was pretty brilliant. Here's the suicide note. But his widow, Anita Thompson, thinks he didn't die by suicide. He died on the phone with her, by the way, with a gunshot wound to the head. I get it. I think maybe, my brother died by suicide. And for a while, one of my sisters was really convinced maybe he didn't. Like, I get it. You don't want to accept that someone would do that. As somebody myself who deals with clinical depression, I understand how somebody could walk the line, over the line, and not come back. But here's his suicide note, which again, it's hard to imagine somebody made him write this and then killed him while he's on the phone with his wife. But February 20th, 2025 is when he died. I think he died by self-inflicted gunshot wound. His wife doesn't think so. Colorado is reopening the investigation. But I want to focus on his suicide note. He said, "Football season is over. No more games. No more bombs. No more walking. No more fun. No more swimming." 67, how old he was. That is 17 years past 50. 17 more than I needed or wanted. Boring. I am always bitchy. No fun for anybody. 67, you are getting greedy. Act your old age. Relax. This won't hurt. Wow. Wow. If that doesn't say it all. Now, again, nobody crafts that. Nobody tells you to write that suicide note. Hey, write this note, like totally in your crazy gonzo style journalism about no more fun, no more swimming, 17 past 50, 17 more than I should have gotten, boring, I'm always bitchy, you're getting greedy, act your age. Write that note and then we'll kill you. No, he wrote the note himself and shot himself. Like, it's not hard to figure out. But what a genius suicide note. What a genius suicide note. No fun for anybody. 67, you are getting greedy. Act your old age. Relax. This won't hurt. Football season is over. Wow. Go read Hunter S. Thompson if you haven't. Literally, you can get his stuff anywhere. Get it on Amazon. Go read a collection of his writings. Go read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He wrote Fear and Loathing in D.C., whatever. Just go read 50 pages of Hunter S. Thompson. It'll open your brain up. And you'll realize why. He understood journalism was broken 40 years ago, but it's so broken right now. And by the way, shout out to Chris Cuomo for finally being the real Chris Cuomo, not the CNN guy who was all polished and whatever. He's like, now he's just unhinged. Like, he went off on AOC the other day on his show. Like he was like, I don't know what she said that triggered him, but it was the real Chris Cuomo. Like, he just went off and he was like, you don't even come close to my dad. His dad, remember, Chris Cuomo's brother, Andrew Cuomo, was governor in New York and now is running for mayor of New York City. But their dad, Mario Cuomo, was the governor of New York in the 80s and was a really amazing politician. He was a Democrat. He was a liberal. He was he was the definition of what you'd want in a political leader. And if you, again, don't care if you're conservative, liberal, look at what he did in a different time. Probably couldn't do it today. Like I said, we probably wouldn't accept it. But he went off on AOC. He was like, you aren't 1/10 of my father. You're not as charismatic as, you don't have language skills like he had. You don't speak like he did. You're not as intelligent. He just went off on her, like boom, 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 boom. I was like, wow. He's like, bitch, you ain't nothing next to my dad. I'm not sure what she said. I don't know if she said something about him or his dad or his brother, but I was like, will the real Chris Cuomo please stand up? He just did. And I'm like, damn, it's on fire. Jane Goodall died. You know what she was? The chimpanzee, the chimpanzee woman. She was kind of hot too. If you look at her back in the day when she was in her 20s, she was pretty hot. That's probably sexist, male gaze kind of comment, but it's true. She died. She was 91. Um, in 1960, she went into Tanzania at the chimpanzee reserve. She worked for some really famous paleontologist. She was in her mid 20s. She had no higher education. She eventually got a doctor's degree, but at the time she hadn't even gone through college. She just went in and studied primates in their habitat. But here's something I'm going to say is really interesting, because again, you want to talk about humans, because we descended from apes who are a lot like us. The chimps all ran away from her in the beginning. And when asked about it years later, she was on a show with Deepak Chopra, the whatever metaphysical guy. She said because they'd never seen a white ape before. Like, wow. Racist or anti-racist? I don't know. Honest. How about honest? We're tribal. White people are scared of black people. Black people are scared of white people. We make friends when we cross over the boundaries, but we're primarily afraid and stay in our tribes. Asians scared of white people and black people. Koreans scared of Chinese. Chinese scared of Koreans. We're tribal. We work through it with our bonds. She worked through it with the chimps, and suddenly the white ape was no longer scary. They didn't know she was a human. They thought she was a white ape. What's a white ape? This is scary. Run away. It's just kind of comical and so true to humanity. And it all changed when she named a chimp David Graybeard, and she offered him a palm nut. And she apparently did it in a way like that made him feel safe, and he took it and squeezed her fingers. And apparently, I didn't know this, but she said that's how chimpanzees reassert each other. They squeeze their fingers, which is interesting, because how do we reassert each other? We hold hands, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your kid, your parent. You take their hand and you sort of squeeze it. Chimps squeeze the fingers. We got it from them. We inherited from the apes and the chimps. We didn't develop it ourselves. It was not the result of AI. We inherited it genetically. Yes, that's why there are two sexes. Sorry. I love this. She said there were some who tried to discredit my observations because I was a young, untrained girl and should therefore be discarded. Hallelujah, Jane Goodall. She was right. People are like, who are you? You're young, untrained, and you're a girl. She fought through it. 91 years old. Good for you, Jane Goodall. Inspired us, taught us, showed us who we were, showed us where we came from. Groundbreaking. Never be replaced. All I know is, everybody, I'm aware that time just keeps on ticking. I am watching people die. I'm watching the legends die one after the other. I'm watching the people I grew up with die or be my age, and it's scary. Time is fleeting. Time is fast. Jump on the moment. Jump on the moment. And go squeeze somebody's fingers. Thanks for watching the Nightly Recap. See you next week.
Valuable company in the world right now is NVIDIA.
China gonna have to bow down, man. China is going to have to bow down.